Now, other billionaire issues around art and taxes, which relate to my audiences. Do you see a wealth tax coming for America? There's been proposals about that.
Well, I can tell you that we do need a tax code that is simpler, that is fairer, one that particularly makes corporations pay their fair share. We see right now with the price of gas, oil companies have been making billions of dollars in profit. They also get a lot of money in tax credits. So we have to be sure that big companies are paying their fair share, that the middle class has relief that from that disastrous tax bill in 2017. And what I will tell you, we need to also be sure that we allow for the deductions um, for philanthropy. And I know that it's just really important that we allow communities, particularly people who have the means, to give to their community to take care of some of the issues that are there. We were talking about humanitarian aid as it relates to Ukraine. We have things in our own communities that we want to fund, whether they're art, whether they're science, whether they're cures for disease that maybe we know someone has. So we want to be able to allow philanthropy to have those deductions and just be sure that our tax code is simpler and fairer.
Speaking of which, there's always been a sort of unfairness in the tax code for artists in that if they want to be philanthropic to a museum and give their own art, they can only take the value of, say, the canvas, whereas a collector could take the fair market value that's accrued. Is there any chance of getting another look at that? I think it's called the fair market deduction for artist donations. Have you paid attention to that? Is there any hope for us?
Well, John Lewis was a big champion of this in the United States House. I can tell you that the 2017 tax bill removed these are those 1031 tax exchanges. They've left them primarily for real estate. So we need to put those back in because art matters for people to be able to contribute to our museums, to our nonprofit institutions, our other things in our community. So we need to be sure that we reverse the damage from this 2017 um, mistake that I believe was made. And we're going to see whether we look at something in a possible reconciliation package or other things that we do, because we do want art to come out to our communities, and the full value of those does need to be appreciated.
I would also say that the 1031 exchanges were actually tax positive for the for revenue, and they generated more tax revenue than the elimination of that, at least for art. I don't know if that's made its way to your eyes, that just killing business, there was always someone on that side, and the truckers and the shippers and the framers and the galleries and the rent.
Yeah, I like I said, John Lewis was a big champion of this. When it was in the House, we need to be sure that we find a way to fix some of those things that were, I believe, mistakes in that 2017 tax reform bill, things that hurt our artists, like the 1039 exchanges. We want to restore the equity for artists. We want them to have fair market value when they do make a donation to a museum or to some other kind of public institution, our libraries, our universities, whatever they are. So um, it's about having tax equity for artists, and it really matters. And we're going to be sure that we continue to look at it.
Do you really think we have a shot at it in the next few years, or is that a Pollyanna hope?
Well, we are talking about reconciliation bill that people this year. We still have a shot to do that, and I think some of the things that'll go in reconciliation, there have been things that have not really contributed economically, and so taking them out of that 2017 tax bill hasn't made sense. This is one of those. So we want to do some fixes. We want to put some fixes back in that are good for the community, good for uh, business, good for our artists, good for middle class. There's a whole bunch of things in there, and we want to look at what they slashed and try to put back in what makes sense. This is something I think. really makes sense because our museums, like I said, our museums, our public institutions, our universities, all of these things, they make a difference to our communities. And I live in Las Vegas, and I can tell you, I know I'm sure you're gonna, we'll talk about the great art scene we have, but art matters to people and it matters at every level. Think about those kids who go on field trips, that they suddenly go to a museum and uh, they see a beautiful piece of art and think they can do this, or what they imagine, or that this is not talking about pieces of art, but theater or music. Having a vibrant art scene, you just think about those field trips when you're a kid, all the things that you learn through your imagination by being exposed to art in general. And I think it matters. It matters to tourism. People travel cities all around this country.